Hey, welcome back. This is Shah. A buddy of mine sent me a video. It's a clip from the Whatever podcast, and he said it's right up my alley here. So let's take a look and see what it was.
Okay, so to bring it back, we were talking about marriage.
Right.
So, divorce. Oh yeah, 97. I think 90%, 97% of alimony payments go from men to women. So, but in addition to that, even if whether it's the man's the breadwinner, the woman's the breadwinner, there's a bias in the court system against men. So, I mean, I don't know if they've done studies on this, but I'd be curious to say if even in situations where the woman's the breadwinner, if there's a little more leniency, perhaps men are less likely to seek alimony. I'm not entirely sure on all those details, but there's 100% of bias in family court systems when it comes to child custody and when it comes to alimony.
The thing about men, and I remember when I worked at child support and dealt with all these divorce orders, what I learned was that just a lot of guys don't actually pursue alimony from their ex-spouse. So they're just less likely to pursue it. But legally, the laws wouldn't be biased against them. So the courts would have to give them alimony based off of whatever their respective income is. The reason why it's so high that women get most of the alimony payments is, well, because one, they ask for it and the law allows it. Second is because guys keep marrying women that aren't making any money. So if you're a guy and you don't want to pay alimony, then marry someone that, makes as much as you or makes more than you, then you'll get alimony. But don't sign up for a deal where you're going to be the sole breadwinner, because if the divorce happens, they are going to be entitled to half of your income for a while, depending on the length of the divorce.
Well, I think it depends on where you live, right? Like if you're living in a predominantly conservative area in America.
Man, I'm going to judge all these women right now. I mean, God, they can't be older than 24. None of these women look older than 24.
Like Mississippi or like places where, I'll just say women's reproductive rights aren't legal. I think they usually side with the men. Like,
no. Honestly, in some ways, this is like kind of a little advanced take on this. Feminism and conservatives have a few things in common. Women need to be protected. Like there are. It's a different. I'm not sure exactly how to articulate this, but
come on, man.
Whatever state you're in, there's a bias against men in the court system. Doesn't matter what state. It's worse in liberal states, but there is a bias against men in the court system.
So
the bias maybe he's talking about, it pertains to custody. A lot of times women do get the custody. There's no law specifically stating that the custody should go to the woman. The thing is when the breakup happens, is there's no custody order. So it's this weird thing where, like, if the woman takes the kid or kind of de facto has the kid, a cop can't do anything about it. Like, if you call the police, they're going to be like, do you guys have a custody order? You're going to say, no, we don't have a custody order. Then they're going to be like, well, technically she's a legal parent. She can have the kid. And now you're in this position where you have to try to grab the kid or something, or you have the kid and she went somewhere or something happened, but you have the kid, but there's no custody order and you do legally have your child. So there's no like prior conditions in the law that say like the woman has the custody by default. They just kind of de facto keep the kid. The dad leaves, for whatever reason, kick out of the house, or if it's a domestic violence issue. Most, when I was in child support, a lot of the orders started from domestic violence orders. So what would happen was a woman would get a temporary restraining order from the court against the guy, and then the guy would be forced to leave his house. Now, the thing about the temporary, it was called a TRO, is that a court can issue a TRO without, like, they'll issue a TRO and then you have to leave the house now based off whatever the domestic violence claim is, okay? And the hearing is set for like 6 weeks into the future. And if the court's really backed up, it could take longer. And then after 6 weeks of you being out of the house and not having access to your kids, then it actually goes up for a hearing. But in that 6 weeks time, she probably has already gone to the child support agency, has already initiated divorce filings and all that kind of stuff. And the situation just kind of becomes, you're out of the house because the TRO forced you to. She has the kids, and now you're starting in a position of having to fight for custody that you now don't have. So that happens a lot of the time.
I agree. Like, I grew up with a single dad for a little bit, right? My mom was like she had her own issues, and so I had a very strong relationship with my dad. My dad's like my best friend. So, is there?
It's about to come in. So
so yes, so he got screwed over by the court system plenty of times. He tried to file a no contact order against her, all this kind of stuff, got denied. So I agree that there's like a stigma, but wouldn't like, I don't agree with any extremes for anything.
So, I think even the podcast presenter is struggling to determine what the bias is. If there's going to be a bias, it will be centered around custody. And yes, most guys are paying spousal support, and most guys are paying child support as compared to women. But the laws aren't written to not award spousal or child support to a man. It's just that it's all goes off the money when the divorce happens, when the breakup happens. It all depends on the money. When I was working at child support, there was actually an uptrend in the amount of women that were having to pay child support. I think it was still under 30%. Like, it was lower, but it was going up since, women have started working more. And we just need to understand that as women work more and they have better jobs, these cases, child support, spousal support, will not go in their favor, unless you're making way more money than them. So, sadly, it all is just about money when it ends. Custody and child support go hand in hand. So if there is a bias in custody, then more likely you can say there's a bias in child support. Weekly, in the sense of like, since you don't have custody, more than likely you're paying child support. But I used to have to talk to a lot of women who were paying child support, and I swear to God, they were the worst to deal with, because most guys were just resigned to have to pay, but women they just couldn't believe they had to pay child support. Like, I have to pay for my child. Like, yes, you're a nurse. You make 10 to 15 grand a month. This guy does whatever he does, and it's 50-50. So you got to pay this money. And then, they'd be pissed off about it, but that's what it was. So if you're going to get married, maybe not the best idea. Make sure she's making as much money as you, if not more money than you. And yeah, I mean, what I'm going to hear is like, well, women don't want to marry guys that are making less or as much as them. Yeah, that's true. So don't sign up for a bad deal, right? Don't be the breadwinner. It's not worth it. Anyways, guys, let's go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you think below. If you got any questions, I'll answer them. Worked in child support for 5 years. I've read thousands of divorce orders. I'm not giving you legal advice, but I'll tell you what I saw. And that was in California. So thanks for watching. If you made it this far, we'll see you on the next one.